Hello, Narnach here. Welcome back to Grim Dawn. We have arrived at the Darkvale gates after a little bit of a break for a crafting session last episode. Now we're just gonna continue where we left off. And our goal is, of course, to finish up Elite so we can get a taste of what Ultimate is like. But before that, there is still quite some things that need to happen. First of all, we got the Darkvale gate. We have Garros somewhere near the end. He needs to die, of course, because, well, he's not really a nice person. Demon something. And then after that, of course, it's going to be the Astrakhan Road. It's a bit of area I do enjoy. And then we get a variety of just underground crypts and lairs and catacombs and tombs and all kinds of other gloomy places, and eventually we'll end up in some kind of necropolis where Cthulhu is trying to make a comeback. Oh well, all in all, we're doing pretty darn good here. The fact that we got a reputation with most factions at a pretty decent level means we, of course, get access to more quest lines than we did on veteran mode. So with the Cadence chosen, I think we should be able to get an extra quest now that we didn't have before. Not entirely sure if we made it to, what was it, honored or yeah, honored. There we are now. Also, homestead, we are nearly revert, which, well, the fact that they are the faction that really likes it when you kill beasties, and I have been farming for those ancient hearts recently. I have killed a lot of beasties, and as such, homestead really likes me. So I did another farming run today before I started, and actually got an ancient heart from the old Bloodbriar. It's the farming run I outlined in the previous video when I was going for the legendary medal. It's if you need a lot of hearts, going for things like old Bloodbriar is actually pretty darn useful. Oh no, we are being ambushed by devourers. Just thinking ahead, I think we have the most beast intense areas behind us now though. So I'm not sure if we will make it to revert or not in Elite, or whether that's just simply going to be in early Ultimates where we're going to hit that. Because there are some of those snow yeti things, they are going to be out there in the snow. But most of the... Oh, and of course, once we make it to the East Marsh, there's going to be beasties there. But for the rest, it's mostly going to be Chthonians. It's going to be even more Chthonians. And then there's going to be some ethereals and some undead. But of course, well, the love has to be divided, and so does the hate. So far, we are hated with most of the enemy factions. The Crondies is pretty okay. Chthonians just hit hated. Ethereals were pretty good on our way to actually unlock Nemesis spawns. Just need 5,000 more kills. Or a bunch of hero kills. Heroes count as 35. Get 35 extra reputation with that. So that does advance things quite a bit. And after that, it's gonna be onwards to Ultimate. And I'm actually looking forward to Ultimate. I've never been there. I've heard it is pretty difficult. The 1.0.8 patch notes suggested that it did get nerfed a little bit. So it's not going to be as difficult as it was before. The question is always, of course, would have preferred to have played the pre-nerf version of something and managed to beat it? Or would you only have felt frustrated because it felt unfairly difficult? That's a judgment call I can't make because I haven't played Ultimate yet. Well, playing the post-nerf version does increase the chances of actually making it through alive on the first go in hardcore. So there is, of course, that. So this fella is just slowly grinding away. And there we are. Boom. And he dropped the obsidian guard. I think that's the yeah, the green one. It's level 70. We hit level 65 while farming. So I've just been increasing the stats where we have before. 1 point into demolitionist and 1 point into what was it called? Military conditioning, just to increase the size of our life pool. Something that I don't think I mentioned in the previous episode, because of course it was focused on crafting, is that we do have a new medal. The Empowered Shard of Menhir boosts all our resistances by +3 max resist, as well as giving us +3 to Menhir's will. And on block we have a chance to trigger Ether Ward, which boosts our ether resistance and makes us immune to crowd control for a short while. So that's a nice little item, and it also gives us quite a boost to our health, as well as boosting our damage output. So I'm very happy to see that a lot of the items that we're finding now have both a offensive as well as a defensive component. So it just helps us boost our damage output. Because, well, damage output is still the thing that is the weakest in this build against bosses. No, regular mobs, they just murder themselves. We have so much retaliation damage, it's just not funny anymore. And the health pools of the regular mobs are low enough that you can just kill them with retaliation damage, and that's just fine. Bosses, however, their health pools are massive. And no, it's just not really feasible to kill a boss using just retaliation damage alone. You really do need to have single target damage in the form of skills. So I'm happy that our gear is boosting us in that regard.
That skill's not ready.
So we are using Cadence because it is the default attack of the soldier. The demolitionist actually has Fire Strike, which is another standard attack that we could consider using. And to be honest, I actually haven't tried unassigning my cadence points and reassigning them to Fire Strike to see if it was worth it or not. Because Fire Strike, it has a mixed fire and physical focus, and there are numerous boosts that are there, and there's some AoE that you can add to it. But if we're just gonna use it as a single target skill and rely on retaliation as our AoE strategy, then no, we could maybe just simply spike the base skill and get quite some damage out of it. So there are options to scale our damage in different ways than just by relying on our gear. And those gear options are worth considering. Similarly, we are using Vindictive Flame and Olzun's Wrath as just simple one-pointers. They give us a chance to stun. Vindictive Flame also gives us a little bit of health regen, which is really negligible at level 1. But it's a AoE stun chance, and Olzun's Wrath has a chance to knock down, and it's a bit arcing, so it hits multiple ranged targets. And one of the ideas was that, well, Olzun's Flame Wrath, sorry, the ranged one would help us deal with archers or things like that. Now that we actually have a decent amount of damage reflection, it's no longer as crucial, because the damage reflection is simply gonna deal with ranged attackers for us. But it's still there as one pointers, with the idea that once we pick up a couple of +2 skills, it's just gonna help us, and it's gonna improve things. It's basically just gonna passively scale. Also, I forgot to open up a strongbox. Shame on me. Someone correctly asked in the comments, like, is it really worth it to pick that up? And I'm currently of two minds about that. On the one hand, yes, we get some AoE for this build. I have mentioned, I've said it before. Crowd control for this build is a bit counterproductive, because if enemies are stunned or slowed or whatever, they are not attacking you, or they are not attacking as fast as they normally would, and therefore your retaliation damage is downscaled. So crowd control for this build, really not a good idea. Yet I do have to an aura effectively that adds some amount of passive crowd control to the build. Against regular mobs, yeah, it just prevents them from killing themselves faster.
That skill's not ready.
Bosses are unique or nearly unique to crowd control anyway, so you don't really notice it there. I mean, the purple bosses, the heroics, of course, they still can get crowd controlled, and there it is slightly frustrating. But the purple bosses, they just have god tier resistance against those things, and good luck getting them to get stunned for any reliable amount of time. So you could make a good argument to just unassign those 2 points, put them in something else. No, put them into Cadence, put them into Fire Strike, anything just to boost our damage a little bit. But that we have ran into enemies that actually do quite some damage. The intro area of Port Volbury was a very good example for that. Now, that boss fight, I really had to hit and run and hit and run and repeat that a numerous amount of times, because I simply couldn't tank the damage that the boss was dealing. And that was just the guardian for one of the roguelike dungeons. So I imagine that it's going to be even worse in Ultimate. So that's why I'm currently focusing on just expanding our health pool using the tools we've got, because I'm slightly nervous and I'd rather over-prepare than under-prepare. Once I get a bit of a feel for how Ultimate's going to be, especially with all the diminished resistances and things like that, once I get a feel for it, now we might actually shift our focus back to just boosting our damage more. And as I said, maybe just shifting some of our
Can't do that yet.
more combat related things around and simply just boost Fire Strike, because this is a bit intense with those void leeches. So the Warcry gives us a high amount of damage reflection, which deals pretty well with those casters. So why are you stuck there? Get out. Right. Let's see, can we just move the fight a little bit so things are not getting stuck? That would be lovely. Exactly, yeah. Okay. Also, standing inside of damage over time, ground effects, not the best of ideas. So no, those are to get back to the previous topic. Those are things that I'm considering them. Well, for now, it is not strictly required to boost our damage, because we are killing things slowly, and it's always a battle of inevitability. Because we have a large enough health pool and a large amount of regen that the boss is simply not going to touch us if we use our tools correctly. And even if I do silly things like stand in ground effects that hurt me, I'm still capable of tanking quite a bit of the damage output.
I can't do that yet.
But yeah, I'm just slightly nervous for what's to come. That's why I'm over preparing. But no, shifting the points around that we've already spent into our offense, that is something. No, we're not using those for defense right now, and they're kind of allocated already, so shifting them to another skill could be viable. So that is something I probably simply should just try. Oh no, he's dead. Now we've done it. Now we've done it. Dramatic music. Raw. Also, dude, you kind of look like the product of what you get when a ghost possesses a tree and gets really hungry. Just, yeah, a little bit weird. Well, they're Cadence. They are weird. Ugh. As I say, I'm very much into over preparing here, because just look at this. This is a very strong life leech. 1000 over 12 seconds. That actually was not overly strong, but it does prevent my regen from kicking in. Or my natural regen, but he's hurting. Let's boost our. Let's get out of the puddle. Let's start with that. Let's get out of the puddle. Puddle's not good. Rakdos, shards not good. But he's just a simple gatekeeper. He's not even the end boss. He's just the dude at the end of the gate here.
Not ready.
So, no, getting that health pool up to something that's closer to 12, 13,000, eventually maybe 15,000. That would make me a lot more comfortable. Especially considering that there's not a lot of strictly better gear drops that we get. Okay, I'm really nervous now. Let's actually drink a flask here. Now that we're not really getting a lot of strictly better gear drops, and especially the more legendaries we get, the more difficult it's going to be to replace them with anything except for new legendaries. That means we're kind of stuck, and then using your skill points seem the most reliable way to improve things. Oh, in the end, we did manage to take him out. No, life got as low as 3,000 at some points. Obviously, no, I could have drank more potions. I could have used Overguard maybe a bit more aggressively early on in the fight. No, there are choices I could have made to maybe not do that. But the fact is that we have enemies actually capable of dishing out that much damage now. So treating things accordingly will help quite a bit. With that said, we have reached the end of the Darkvale gates. Let's grab the waypoint, and then... Actually, before we go into dangerous stuff, let's actually have a look at what we got. Criminal records. No, that's just not very interesting. And anything other lore-wise? Oh, empowered apothecary's touch. I think I already got one of those. Channeling Orb of the Covenant. What is this? Seems like a part of a pretty major set, which eventually grants Unholy Covenant, forge an Unholy Covenant with your minions, empowering your connections to the dark forces of the void. Okay, doesn't say what it does, but it sounds ominous. +3 to manipulation and sigil of consumption. This is definitely occultist with a bit of a minion focus. I like it. It's just it's the game telling me go play an occultist, man. Go play an occultist. It's that's how I'm interpreting all of these things. Game never actually says anything. It's all in my mind, but yeah, occultists. They are really a lot of fun to play. The interesting thing is if you go for a vitality occultist. Well, with sigil of consumption, things like that. Sigil of consumption, primarily vitality damage. Secondary damage is going to be fire and chaos. There's no other class that really has a strong primary vitality focus. No, the shaman has a little bit of vitality. So then you end up with a conjurer, which was actually the first class I recorded YouTube series for. Because of course I wanted to play a summoner, because I like summoner classes. Let's see, glancing over at the time, 19 minutes, that's a bit of an awkward thing. Let's settle through some loot and we'll... Oh, we actually need to go back to Soros Bastion, just hand things in. So just wrapping things up here. But just talking about the occultist, the fatality focus, the shaman is a very natural ally there, because you get the devouring swarm, which actually I think also lowers resistance as well as draining life. Shaman of course has blood as a secondary damage type, as well as lightning. So that's not really something that we are gonna focus on with the occultist, but if you do a bit of a vitality focus with some fire and some chaos as side things, I think you could build something that would be pretty fun. Alternatively, if you focus on the fire secondary side, then you can grab a demolitionist to amplify it. You could grab an arcanist to amplify it. And of course the Sigil of Consumption, it's a large AoE with a bit of a cooldown. Not as bad as Doombolt, but it has a couple seconds cooldown. So it's not going to be a spell that you're casting all over. It's once every 3 seconds or so. So in terms of primary skill, it's more like a strongly present secondary skill. You still want something else to be casting a lot. Devouring Swarm from the Shaman is something that you can actually chain cast. And of course on the occultist side there are also the curses, the blood curses and things like that that are pretty darn cool. I don't think we are really finding a lot of upgrades. 6% health is tempting. Some built-in health regen is okay. Pierce resist is nice. We will be losing 10% chaos resistance. And some cold and fire. Fire is something we can lose because we are overcapped even for ultimate. Cold persist we are currently already not maxed. That said, we are also not maxed currently on piercing, so it has potential. Let's keep it at that. Let's see, this shield plus 1 to blast shield, of course, like these obsidian cards all have. A bunch of burn retaliation, a ludicrous amount of fire resistance, which we don't care about, and a bonus to fire damage. Again, if we are, just highlight what I'm talking about, fire strike. So 100% main damage hits every, it applies every attack. Cadence, it's 3 regular attacks and then the cadence hit kicks in. So cadence, there's a rhythm to it. You need to get 3 hits before you actually get the payoff. Currently, there's no 3 points in here. I get 170% damage plus a physical bonus. But if you smooth that out across 3 hits, that was 70% across 3 hits is now gonna be about 23-24% extra damage per hit. If with Fire Strike we can get a similar thing, but every attack is actually going to be more consistent. It adds some flat fire damage. There's a bonus to physical damage, which of course is what we deal, so it just scales all of our damage. Explosive strikes, and you can focus it into Searing Strike, which is a one-handed melee weapon. Focus actually makes the energy cost a bit cheaper, and you get some more damage and crit from it. This gives you explosions, which are potentially useful. And they also scale with your main hand damage, so that's something that even with a couple of points it is useful and it's gonna scale along with your weapon. Then we get Static Strike, which is a chance of dealing lightning damage, it's a chance of doing knockback, also scales your fire damage a little bit. And finally you got Brimstone, which will cause the attack to splinter and do a bit more AoE stuff. This has a knockdown chance, which I don't think is something that we would really want. Because of course we don't want crowd control. So if you consider that this is just going to be a single target attack, then Brimstone doesn't really do much because we don't care about the fragments. We don't really want the knockback, so this is one we don't really care about. Explosive Strike. Maybe 1 point, it's just a chance of doing more damage, and I do like to pick up the notes while traveling. And then Searing Strike, but it is relatively contained in what we grab then to switch over to Fire Strike. Currently we got 3 points into Cadence, 1 point into Fighting Form, which is just a bonus to physical. This is all physical. And then over here we have Deadly Momentum, which you could argue is useful because it scales our physical and internal trauma damage a little bit. And it adds some internal trauma and physical to all attacks after the third strike of Cadence. So if you are actively fighting a boss, no, you're just grinding away at a boss, this boosts your DPS to... Okay, currently we are at 37. I've seen it go up to about 51. So I think that's the effect of the Cadence thing. Do we have a dummy here? Let's have a look. Is there a dummy here? I think we had a training room over to the side. Is there a dummy? Not here. Oh, is it down there? Nope. There's a person there, but it's... I don't think they would appreciate being called a dummy. Also, I just realized that the quest here was actually a town quest and not a Kami's Chosen chest. So we need to go to town anyway to hand it in. Well, no, I was talking rather than handing in stuff, so that's the... wasn't really the point. Captain Sommer is over here. Hello.
Why do you have such a grim... Let's see. I've already informed...
So, we'll move forward. Let me actually get a blue item from you. Empowered Life Bloom and Band. I think we used the low-level version of this. Oh, bunch of life, bunch of health regen. Some bleeding resistance and I think oak skin, mint flesh. That's... sounds all very shamanistic to me. So that's of course not what we are gonna use. Let's have a chat here.
You're here. Good. With the cultist...
We'll see that. So, let's actually sell things here. And then actually have a look at just respecking. Let's I said this was potentially useful, but I'm gonna lose too much stuff for now, so we'll hang on to it. So currently 3759. Okay, now our bonus triggers 4500. So with Cadence, our stable damage output listed here is 4500. Rather than the 3700 that we normally see. So that is something to keep in mind. So what if we go to the Act 1 town and we're just gonna respec those points. Let's see, what if we just boost the fire strike? What are we gonna get back in return?
I sense turmoil.
Because show, don't tell, I think is the relevant phrase here. So we get 7 points out of here. Because also one of the things, Cadence, is it has a chance. Was it? I think it also has a chance to actually do AoE damage, which we don't really care about. Also, it is our main attack, so we can't unbind it. Oh. We have a devotion attached to it. Yeah, let's remove that one. That's gonna be you. Put you on force wave for now. Okay, so we got 7 points. That means we'll let's see, 1 point here. We don't have to. You don't have to assign points to intermediary nodes. For a long time, I thought you had to, but you don't. So we could say, well. If we focus just 3 points in here, boost our damage a bit, and then go for that. On the other hand, we gain 2% main hand damage per point here. Per point here, we gained 4 points of total damage. So I think Searing Strike is a better investment of those limited points. So let's see, what are we at? 2700. Oh, maybe we should use Fire Strike. And then assign the devotion back to it. I mean, Dryad's Blessing, it's not an aggressive thing, but it's useful to remember. 3400. Okay. I don't think there are any other effects that are gonna trigger. Also, I don't think there are dummies here, are there? Or are there dummies down here? Yeah, there's dummies down there. 3400 is what we are gonna stay at, so we actually lost quite some damage by switching from Cadence into Fire Strike. What's for Fire Strike? What's our damage composition? Primarily physical, tiny bit of fire. Well, you also get 4% more physical damage. So specking out of Searing Strike, another 3 points in Fire Strike might actually be beneficial. Let's have another quick look.
What troubles you?
Yeah, you unassign and then reassign. Flat damage goes up, scaling damage goes up. So we are now listed at 3,300. That's up from... I don't think it really mattered all that much, and I don't think we really scaled our damage either while attacking. Just quickly double check that. Yeah, we don't have anything poking or anything. Just a Dryad's Blessing that's running, and that's it. So, for us, Cadence is a stronger boost to our damage than going with Fire Strike would be. Do we actually have anything that boosts our Cadence? I don't think we have. We had in the past. We have used something that did boost Cadence. But of course, items come and go. But nothing truly lasts forever. Fighting Form, Deadly Momentum. Yeah, and it's Fighting Spirit over here that gets buffed. But this is a defensive proc. Alternatively, things like Zolhand's Technique. It's an AoE. We got... Markovian's is actually something that reduces the target's defensive ability, so makes it easier to hit and crit them. Actually not quite bad, and I think we could spec out of Zolhand's and maybe into Markovian's, or just reduce just to a single 1-pointer to just get 10% activation or so for a single point is not quite bad. But yeah, for this build, switching out of Cadence and into Fire Strike is not going to improve us. So let's just respec those points. I also need to unassign the devotion. Put you there. Oh, need to unassign the correct point. It does help. So here,
farewell.
Let's see, 2700 with just standard attacks. What if we take these two out as well? Because, oh, I talked about it. Oh, this is not unassigning, this is assigning. That was not quite what I wanted. It's no real impact because, of course, defensive triggers. So, what if we do grab Cadence with everything attached to it? Cadence is a AoE. At least there's an arc, but it is pretty darn potent. Fighting Form is an AoE. This is simply better. And here, of course, we have multiple ways we could split this as well. What would be better? We have 6 points to spend. It's annoying that you have to run all the way out of the base for the dummies. Is there no other dummies here besides the people? Nope, they're not. Let's have a look. So 27, 40. Oh wait, that's with just standard attack. Cadence 3200. Let's reassign our point to Cadence. Okay, third one. That means momentum is up. That's 3500. So, what if we were to completely spike on momentum versus spiking on Cadence? More points into Cadence will increase the main hand damage that we deal with every third hit. 19% on top here, so that's going to be an average of 6% damage per hit, as well as scaling the base physical damage for that third hit. Deadly Momentum, however, is going to be affecting all attacks while it's up. It's going to scale its base damage, it's going to scale the damage scaling. So I think this might actually be a better one to just completely spike on. So let's put 6 points into it. See, default is still the same, 3200. Okay, now it's up 4600. So I think that's better than what we started with. I think we started with about 45. So let's do one final respecking. What if we take all points out of Cadence except for a single point and put them in reverse? Let's take 6 points out here. So we just keep the 1 point and put everything else into Cadence, into the base skill. Then without the buff to deadly momentum, we already have 4600. Probably gonna go to 4800, 4900 for the deadly when deadly momentum is up. 1, 2, 3, 5000 points of damage. So focusing on Cadence actually a better deal than deadly momentum. Oh, keep in mind we do have 2 extra skill points because we did take out an aura, or these auras here. So we are a bit more focused. As I said, Soul Hands technique. It's an AoE. It's 100% main damage, 12% chance to be used for multiple targets, and it slows enemy attacks. I don't think we would want that. Because of course if the enemy is attacking slower, that means they will be taking less retaliation damage. So this is the normal part of just refining a build. Normally I try to do things like these outside of episodes, but no, since I was talking about it, I might as well just experiment with it for a bit. And if you're curious about these kinds of things, then well, bonus for you here. Okay, so let's finalize that. What if you take a single point out? It goes to 8%. So the first is 8% chance to be used, the second one is 12% chance to be used. It adds a little bit of physical and damage. But of course, reducing the target's defensive ability does make them easier to hit and to crit, so it increases our damage slightly. But these skills, they really have a rapidly diminishing chance to be used. 8% for the first one, 4% for the second one. After that, it's going to be 3 for a couple levels, and then it's going to be 2 for a couple levels, and then in the end, at about 20%, I think they just stabilize, maybe at 25. But they're not really going to be used all that often. So it's probably better to just simply boost our cadence here by even more. 9 points into cadence. 5100, so that's gonna take us to 53, 54. So that's a rather massive damage improvement, I think, over what we were doing before. 55 even. Yeah, and that's holding up relatively stable. Because of course the deadly momentum bonus is going to be up. You could probably fine-tune this by finding a ideal level of cadence to match with a ideal level of deadly momentum. Maybe there is some kind of ratio where maybe you need to put a certain amount of points into cadence and then push this one by 1 and then do it the other way around. I know back in Diablo 2 with the Necromancer for the skeletons, there was something like that. It was like 3 points per 2 raised the skeletons and then 1 in the mastery, and you had to juggle them, and then you had the perfectly ideal damage curve. But I'm not gonna bother actually plotting out that curve here. We'll just see. For now, this works, and that's gonna be good. So all the points I thought about just dividing between the melee skills, I think we might actually just put all of them in cadence. And just help us deal better with the boss fights. And so by extension with all other irregular mobs, because damage has been our weak spot for quite a while. So if this helps us deal better with boss fights and just go through them faster. That also of course means that we will be exposed less long to the boss's damage, and therefore we will be safer in the long run. I think we took out all the things that now slow down the enemy. I mean, Warcry reduces the target's damage. That's actually one that we should probably boost even further. This is a disruption and resistance lowering, so that's all right for single point. And things like Force Wave, I still like how it's a ranged attack. Every once in a while, it is nice to be able to just hit something that's a little bit further away. It has a stun. Yeah, so it's a guaranteed stun as well. So for casters, things like that, it might be useful. But we could make the argument that once we start hyper focusing the build, that we might even drop things like a Force Wave. Something like a field command. Might even just go back and re-evaluate that. But on the other hand, currently we don't have any points that boost all of our skills. And once we get +1, +2, +3 to all of our skills, and once we really start wearing a lot of legendary items and maybe even complete some sets, then getting 1 point into a lot of different skills actually is going to be better, because all those skills will be lifted up by that +1 to all skills, and there is a lot of power that comes from those things. So for that reason, keeping 1 pointers in a wide variety of skills really is useful with an eye towards the future. But with that, we have managed to make a little bit of progress. We made it to the Astakarn Mountains Rift. So next time we're gonna nicely walk through the snow in the Astakarn Road. But for now, I'm gonna thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye bye.